Hi guys, I hope everyone's having an amazing week. I'm here today with Masami Sato. Masami is a celebrated author. She's an award-winning entrepreneur. She's a two-time TEDx speaker, and she's also the founder of B1G1. She's going to be here today to talk with us about the importance of giving in business and how to maximize your impact in the world. Masami, amazing to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And you are all the way in Singapore right now?
Yes, correct. Right now it's 10:31 p.m. in Singapore.
Amazing. And I apologize before we went live for asking you to come on so late in the evening. Completely forgot you were in Singapore. So really appreciate you spending your late evening here with us today. I've been a part of B1G1 through my business as well for many years. And it's an absolutely incredible vision you guys have, and an incredible business and organization you've put together, which is making such a massive impact in the world. So I'm really excited, to have you on and to dive into this, into exactly what your vision is, why you're doing it, and how you're making that change in the world. For anyone who doesn't know what B1G1 is, could you quickly, just before we dive into it in a deep way, just give us a brief outline of what B1G1 is?
So B1G1 is also known as buy one, give one. So if you imagine, if every time business is done, something amazing happen. For example, like every time you have a cup of coffee, a child receives access to life-saving water, or every time accountant, create a client, child receives e-learning education, or every time an author sells a book, a tree gets planted. So B1G1 works with businesses around the world, and there are so many different kind of businesses that we work with, and all those businesses are embedding effective, high impact giving in what they do. So as a result, since B1G1 was founded, together these businesses have created more than 200 million giving impact, working with amazing causes around the world as well. So that's kind of B1G1 giving initiative, and also we now call it a movement of businesses coming together.
Wow. Did you say 200 million giving impact? Gosh, that's absolutely incredible, isn't it?
Well, like that, sometimes like 200 million giving impact, sounds impressive and a big number, but what makes it really special is to really think about those giving impacts as smiles being created, because, this one impact could be, one day's access to clean water, but then also it could be one woman receiving a loan to start a business, or one book given to a library so that many children can actually enjoy the joy of reading and learning. So there are so many stories around the world that unite amazing businesses in high impact project. So that's why we feel very special to be part of it, ourselves, to be surrounded by amazing businesses with a real sense of purpose.
Yeah, amazing. And I love the way that you're measuring the success of this based on impacts rather than a kind of a monetary giving. It's the impacts you're measuring, which I absolutely love. How does someone think of the idea to create a business organization that impacts 200 million people?
Oh, well, 200 million impacts. So actually, well, I started my own business a long time ago, actually about 20 years ago. And at that time, being a food person, I was, into food, and I used to work in food industry as a chef and for a long time. So when I started my own business, at that time, I decided to start a food company. But when I started my business, I promised that I would contribute the profit we create to help feed and educate street kids. And the reason why I wanted to do that was because when I was young, I had the chance to travel around the world. And as a young backpacker, being a Japanese and shy person and backpacking, I was very vulnerable. But then at that time, I learned that everywhere I went, there were people who are willing to help me. And so that kind of left me a very strong impression But then at the same time, I saw, a lot of things that didn't make sense to me, like kids living on the street or not being able to go to school. So those things that didn't make sense to me, and why, we weren't helping, we weren't changing these things. So when I had my daughter, nearly 20 years ago for the first time, and became a mom, and looking at this baby in my arm, and feeling this strong sense of connection, and how I really wanted to make sure that I would do everything I could to make sure she has a happy, healthy, fulfilling life. But at that time, at the same time, I remembered those kids who were living on the street, and then I thought, if I could do something in my life, then I wanted to make a difference in my own way. And starting a business felt like one way for me to be in charge of that, and do something about it. So I went into food business thinking that I would give all the profit away to help children. But what happened, it was quite interesting, because I worked really, really hard, having a baby on my back, because I didn't have a large startup capital to start this business. So I worked really hard, and then eventually, over the 5-6 years, this tiny business was starting to grow. And one day I found myself running a food production company in Australia, which was selling frozen packaged meals to more than 150 stores across many states in Australia. And at that time, this thought dawned on me, because over the years of hard work, working 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, I was still telling myself that we weren't ready, we weren't successful enough, we weren't making enough money to do something significant. So all the money we were making, it was going back into business so that I could grow the business, buy another freezer room, or improve the packaging. And it felt like that sense of purpose wasn't coming close to me, even though I was putting so much into business. So one day I imagined what if giving wasn't part of some form of big success in the future, but if I could do something small but do it every day. So the idea of buy one give one came to me at that time. And then we decided that for every package of the frozen meal we sold, we would feed one child.
Wow.
So that's the simple idea. And
when was this? How long ago was this, Masami?
So that was 2006. So
Okay.
yeah, nearly 14 years ago, more than 13 years ago. And then it took me actually about 7 or 8 months really for the idea to sink into me, to realize that actually maybe it wasn't just about my business. Because over the years of being in business, I met so many amazing other business people who cared about what they were doing. And they also, told me that they wanted to make a difference too. So I thought, what if giving was simple and easy for every business, small and big. And if every business could make an impact every day with what they are doing. So that was the time I eventually decided to sell my food business. And then after that, I moved to Singapore with my family, and started to B1G1 as a global giving initiative. So that's been more than 12 years since.
Wow. That's such a cool story. I love that. It's almost, I mean, it strikes me, it's similar to something we kind of mentor small businesses in Dubai through. We take small businesses online, and they often get hung up on the delivery, right? So they've got this, they know what their values and their purpose are. Sometimes they need reminding what that is, and the outcome of their business, they know what their outcome is, but the delivery they kind of get hung up on. But for you, the outcome was to make a global impact, was to be a giving business. And so you just, I mean, you kind of had that same philosophy and switched it over into a kind of scaled up B1G1, which I absolutely love. Really, really amazing. So now we're in Singapore. B1G1 is in how many countries around the world? How many countries are you working with at the moment?
Actually, it's hard to count now because B1G1 has many business members, companies that we work with, and we have businesses in Australia, UK, other European countries, US, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand. But we also have businesses in other countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, India. So it's hard to count how many countries we are in, and we also have amazing projects that are run by amazing charity organizations in so many different countries as well. So if we think about the B1G1 as the movement and community, then we have so many organizations and businesses working together. So yes.
Amazing. So I guess one of the I think a lot of businesses, when things start to go really well, they want to give back. They kind of almost become a bit philanthropic, don't they? They want to give back as the business grows. But I often find that businesses struggle to do that for a few different reasons. One of them is time, having the time to dig into exactly how you can do it, and knowing exactly how to do that. But what I really love about B1G1 is that it's completely automated. And you can set it up so it's completely automated. So throughout your business, the transactions you have, these donations are built into it. So you don't have to overthink or spend loads of extra time and resources on trying to find a cause which you want to throw yourself into. So I really love that. So in terms of the projects, how do you choose your sort of giving causes?
So B1G1 has two parts, and one is the business initiative where we work with businesses that want to give. So we serve businesses to do the giving and embed the giving in what they do. Other part is to find the high impact charity organizations that are running great project, and then work with them and help them to break down their projects into micro units, so that the businesses would find it easy to give to those projects. So although we would love to work with all of the charity organizations that are doing amazing work, but in order for us to ensure that the funds that goes to the project will be used for the project, we of course have to have a criteria. So if you go to B1G1's website, then you can find the criteria. But some examples are like, we would look at the basically track record of those charity organizations, how long those projects are running and how they actually track the finance for the project activities. And then also we would look at the scalability and sustainability as well as the uniqueness, because we want to grow this, the project mix to benefit our members over a period of time. So we would see the demand and supply in a way as well. The businesses are wanting to give more towards, different type of project today, because they see the challenges, we are facing in different parts of the world. So these days, more and more businesses are saying that they want to, contribute toward the sustainability and the environment as well. Where when we first started, more businesses wanted to help people, whether giving meals or education, but today also there is a need for protecting marine life or environment in animals and ecosystem, or educating people with the importance of sustainability and so on. So we balance all that, and then to make sure that we have an expanding list of projects to make sure we will continue to make the business giving impactful and meaningful.
Yeah, brilliant. I guess I said time was one of the things that businesses would be one of the things that stops a business from giving or donating because they don't have the time. But the other worry or concern I think a lot of business owners would have is if they're allocating a percentage of their profits towards a cause, they really want to know that every single pound, penny, dollar, whatever is going towards the end result, or going towards giving. So, I mean, you guys dig right into the finances, is that right? You go into the finances of each charity before you accept them.
Yeah, of course, like we have the financial assessment that we do as well. And another part of it is like, because we realized that the fact that the people not knowing how their contribution is used to create impact. So we created quite a different model. So for example, when businesses are giving through B1G1, we would not take any percentage of those donations. And we create a structure where entire development of this initiative is run by the other financial activities, such as the business membership that's coming in, or we provide other product, come up with other products and services to make sure that B1G1 itself is sustainable separately. And then at the same time, when participating businesses are giving through us, we make sure 100% of all that giving will go to the project. So, and because we break down all the project activities in a micro impact unit, for example, even just 1 cent in US dollars can create impact, like providing access to water to one person for 1 day, or it could be, just for a few dollars, you can plant a tree and then protect the ecosystem. Or so everything is very specific. And then 100% of that giving will go to the project. So
100% of the money a business donates goes towards a project. You make it really specific, so you dive into the details, so it's really tangible. So you really feel like you're giving something that's almost physical, because it's so kind of broken down, right? And then the way that you guys break it down, into the final cent, like, 1 cent gives this much or whatever, even if it's just for a day. I think that I love that transparency, which I think it's really, really powerful. The other thing I guess that a lot of business owners would want is, if they're giving to a project, they love that ability to go and see the impact for themselves. Is that something you can facilitate or arrange?
Yes. So for example, we have our study tours where we would take a small group of business owners and their team members or family members to go and visit various projects in different countries. So we have opportunities like this as well. Or we host bigger events such as a global conference. And at that time, some of these participants may have an opportunity to interact and engage with people from the worthy causes as well. So we, whilst like if business owners could take some time and they can actually go and then visit the project, yes, like there are opportunities too, but we also make sure that we would share, different project updates or stories with our members and partners who cannot necessarily go and then see the project. So so it's, really important to continue to think about that the giving is no longer just about how much money you give, but it's really about creating meaning behind those giving, because businesses have team members and their customers and clients they would like to share that sense of purpose and mission with. So if giving becomes a catalyst to bring people together, because when we were thinking about something bigger than ourselves, that's when we create a much deeper sense of connection. So we continue to find better ways to inspire our members and partners and make their giving much more meaningful.
Amazing. And that's it. I mean, if you can, it'll be very hard for every single business to be a charity with 100% of what they're making, right? But if every single business on the planet gave a percentage, a small percentage towards a donation or a charity or to make that global impact, I think that would be absolutely incredible. And I love the whole mindset between, as a business owner, it wasn't just about creating a big organization. It was about creating a movement. Right? It was almost that kind of vision, that movement to change the world, and to do that, you had to influence other business owners to run their business as giving businesses.
That's right. Yeah, actually, because when we look around the world, then undeniably there are so many, problems, so many big issues, and if we are focusing on individual power to change that or make a difference, then we could get discouraged too. But if we just look around, just us right now, and then notice, wow, like there are businesses who are publishing or who are creating furniture or computer equipment or software. Or so if we imagine all of those businesses and how they started their business, and there's always a story, or the desire to make a difference. So if only if we create a space for all of the businesses to express their sense of purpose
Yeah.
through effective giving, then we no longer feel hopeless, because we businesses actually do have the power to make that change, and all sort of different challenges in the world will be naturally supported as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love the impact that this has when you start embedding this within the culture of your business or your organization. The impact that has on your teammates, who your staff or whatever, who suddenly feel like they're not just running the business or doing their roles for the immediate effect of the clients and customers around them, but it's for this greater vision and this global impact, right? And I feel like it just lights a fire in people. It just gives people so much inspiration, and I certainly saw that with my team. We started working with B1G1 a few years ago in the UK, and we linked every single step in our client's journey and our customer's journey to a donation. And we spoke with the team and we said, I would like you guys to go away for a week, dive into the UN goals for sustainability. Which one should we support? What are you most passionate about? And everyone came back with different ideas, and we kind of settled with health and education, because we're mentoring young children. And so it was amazing that the level of conversation in the room just shifted. And I think when you take your team from thinking about the day to day into this place where they're now thinking about, you're now basically asking your team how they can impact the whole world, right? And when you start to do that, not only does the whole kind of the room change, the atmosphere change, your culture changes, but also I feel like the work everyone does just has this bigger impact, across the board, right?
That's really lovely.
It's been great for us to implement it from a team perspective. But then what we really enjoyed is watching the young students, because we teach martial arts around the world. And so over their 8-year journey to black belt, they look back and they see the impacts they've made. How many lives they've impacted over the years. Based on education and health and all this different stuff. And they get certificates as they go. And the goal for us, obviously, is for them to go on out into the world and to carry on following that mission. And so I love that. I think that's brilliant. We've got a couple of questions here, Masami.
Sure.
As a freelancer, what do you think is the best way to give back? I love the idea of doing it, but what if you're not a big brand?
Oh, well, actually, B1G1 was created precisely for people like you. And I had a small business too. And back then, actually, the terminology like CSR was starting to become a little bit more known. But when we say something like CSR, corporate social responsibility, then people tend to think it's only for big companies to do it because they are expected to. But I feel that actually, businesses are run by amazing people with amazing ideas and their stories. So it's much more powerful for every business to embrace that and they express their own sense of giving. And so if you are a freelancer and you think it's small, but then, on a regular basis, let's say you are serving your client and delivering the work, then you can think about how to make your work more meaningful. So, for example, it could be something that you yourself feel passionate about. It could be education, or it could be actually helping a young girl to go to school, or it could be environment. But every time you deliver a successful project, or every time you create a new client and form a relationship, or even every time you have a meeting, nice meeting, and you acknowledge the other person at the end of the meeting and say, hey, thank you, I really enjoyed this meeting. So as a result, I decided to plant a tree, or provide a book to a library, or so you can think about any way to embed that sense of giving and the action of giving in the things that you do regularly. And the giving amount is also under your control. You feel like comfortable to give a few dollars for successful project, or it could be for every email you send. So we ourselves in B1G1 do a lot of giving, and our team decide some of the giving activities too. So we actually do giving for every email that goes out from our inbox. That's one of those things. So it doesn't have to be always related to sales activities, financial activities, because it could be something that you do, and you can add giving and then meaning to what you are doing. So yeah, so thank you for the question. Sorry, Sebastian, the connection seems to be, oops. Hello. I'm not sure if Sebastian is coming back. Oh, he's.
Yeah.
Are you all right?
What I say about so StreamYard seems to have an issue with this. It's happening quite frequently, but I'm managing to fix it now and again, so that's cool.
Yeah, the good example of giving. Yeah. You could say every time your connection is broken, you could give.
Oh my goodness, I'd be giving a lot if that was the case. Oh dear, yeah. So yeah, I mean, this brings me to another point really, because I think a lot of business owners right now, they're going through this financial struggle. Things have massively changed economically for a lot of business owners. A lot of business owners we're trying to support with this group. So a lot of people watching today are, they are going to be worried about their finances. So giving may be on the kind of bottom of their priority at this stage. But for me, it's the way I kind of see it is, if you speak to a financial advisor, they would tell you to consistently put a percentage of your income away as savings or whatever. And if you kind of approach giving in the same way, and I think it suddenly becomes way more sustainable, right? You just, you approach it as, if income comes in, you generate a sale, then a small percentage of that, it could be even pennies, or cents. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. And I think it's an amazing way to bring yourself out of this scarcity mindset, right? When you're stuck and you're in this mindset of dealing with that day to day, and then you're looking at the impact you're actually making, and you're looking at what else is going on in the world despite your difficult situation, and suddenly your mindset changes. So I think even now, even in this difficult economic position, there's huge benefits to to giving and to automating donations and stuff. So yeah, that's my kind of thoughts around that. Any more questions at all, guys? Sabrina says it does light a fire in people. So true. Yeah, someone here saying that giving can become addictive. Yeah, no, there is no better feeling. Completely. Amazing work, Masami.
Thank you.
This is a good one. What's been your best moment in business with the giving back? I'd love to hear that as well. What's your best moment with B1G1? There must be a few.
Well, I think some, people said, wow, it's amazing. Like B1G1 have reached 200 or 200 million giving impacts. And, but I think the most special moments in B1G1 come in individual stories. Like, so for example, even though the primarily it is a monetary giving. So money will go through effective charity organization and help people. And so the people who are helped may receive like something that they didn't have before, access to water or better healthcare. But the thing is, when the giving actually triggers greater giving spirit, that's kind of the best time. So when we were in Cambodia years ago and sitting in this classroom, listening to some of the students who received the scholarship, and at one moment, this girl stood up and then spoke. And what she said was that she wanted to express gratitude for the opportunity she received, because when her mother passed away, nobody supported her to continue studying, and she was about to give up, going to higher education. But then she received a scholarship, and she had the opportunity to, go to university. And so she said, because of this opportunity, I commit to, become a lawyer and then help the people in my country. And so that's what she said, in her tears. And when that kind of hit us, then we realized that actually the ultimate giving is when the initial recipient of the giving will realize that now he or she could become the giver and keep passing on. So we do our best to counter the impact. So this 75 cents would send a child to school for one day, because we know the finance and we do the breakdown. But the thing is, when that child continue to go to school and then realize that even though she or he came from very disadvantaged background, now they can be the giver, they can be empowered and create a good in their community, then how much good can that do? And that's the part we cannot measure. So so that, like, when we get to experience or see what's happening, and then taking that sense of gratitude back to the business community, to be able to say, what you are doing is really special, because busy business owners easily forget. Sometimes they forget why they started their business. Or they forget how special what they are doing. Like, people say, oh, I'm just an accountant. I do nothing special. I'm just doing tax filing and so on. But what we want to remind those business people is that what they are doing makes a huge difference, because day in and day out, they create that value that the other businesses or other people need. But at the same time, when they are doing so with the genuine sense of caring, that can influence so many other people too. So businesses that are involving their team members in their giving activities, how much good can they do? Because those team members get inspired to do something more and inspire their family, or, instead of complaining about work, or, they just think that they're exchanging their time for money, to actually they feel a sense of purpose and do something in their life. So so that's the kind of like a real goodness that we get to experience doing this.
It's like the gift of perspective, isn't it? Perspective and purpose, and I can imagine that just changes the way they live their lives if you're doing that as part of a daily thing there. So absolutely amazing. We've got another question here from Tim. Any huge plans for the future? What's the plan going forward with the mission?
So first of all, now that we see there are more and more businesses that are willing to do something about the challenges that our world faces. So that's why the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are becoming more known. And then, of course, B1G1 embrace that too. So we can help businesses to think about what kind of impact they want to create and then make that happen, and also measure that as well. So in terms of impact count, we are working toward creating 1 billion giving impacts by 2025. And that's a big goal compared to where we are at today too. So that requires us to be transforming the way we connect with more and more businesses. and working with our existing partners to do so. Because when we are working with businesses, and let's say many of those businesses could be small businesses too, but look at what's happening today, like how these businesses are all connected. And today, even without the traveling, because right now we actually can't travel. So
Okay.
even without traveling, businesses and the people in businesses are connecting with each other in so many unique ways. So if the businesses that we are working with, and they are demonstrating how they could be embedding giving in what they do and inspiring more businesses, then suddenly we can reach out to so many more businesses working with these businesses. So we think that this ambitious goal could be, is achievable. And then if we think about what's happening in the world now, then actually the urgency is there. And we just need to make sure that more and more businesses realize that they are not powerless. They have the power to actually make a difference and be part of changing the world in such a way that we are proud of. And, if we think about our own family, our own children, next generation, then we actually do have a responsibility to do something. So, but that's about the coming together, because, we can't do this alone, but all the businesses together can really make a huge difference.
Wow. So how many businesses do you currently partner with?
Close to 3,000 businesses. And
Close to 3,000.
Yeah. And but then, look around and how many businesses are in the world, then there are millions and millions of businesses. So what would take for those 3,000 businesses to inspire millions of businesses? And so we got to be creative and we got to be daring. But absolutely. I guess we can, if the virus can spread so fast, then businesses can spread the message very fast too.
Yeah, definitely, completely agree with you there. So really to reach that 1 billion goal, do you have an idea of how many businesses would need to be a part of B1G1?
Actually, because we do a lot of numbers and the runs projection as well. So in order for us to get to the initial 1 billion impact milestone, we need to have about 15 to 20,000 businesses working with us, depending on the size of businesses. But then actually we may have to be working much faster too. Thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, if you are a business owner watching this, and I know there's going to be a lot of business owners watching this, then I'd really recommend trying to find a cause that you're really passionate about, speaking to your team, to evolve as a business into a giving business, something that has a bigger purpose than just serving your immediate clients, a business that wants to impact and change the world for good. And if you want to be a part of an amazing vision like this, an amazing movement, because I think if so many businesses do this, I know for me, the various businesses I run, every single business is part of B1G1. So I think it's a great way to be a part of something very, very special, which is definitely going to change the world and have that global impact wherever you are in the world, even if you have a local business. Masami, that was absolutely amazing. I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sebastian, and thank you so much for those of you who are tuning in. And we look forward to connecting with you and then also learning about what you do too. So together, we can do so much more and create a positive impact in the world too. So thank you.
Amazing. If I'm going to post the link to B1G1 in the comments, guys, both on YouTube and on Facebook. I'll also give you an example of what I've been doing so you can kind of see how it works inside a business. If anyone wants to get a hold of you, Masami, wants to get in touch, how can they do that? What's the best way to contact you?
Okay, one way is to go and find me on either LinkedIn or Facebook, Masami Sato. And then you can just send me a connection request. And then you can reach out to any of our team as well if you had a question, which will be team hello@b1g1.com. Oh, actually, another better email address is hello@b1g1.com.
Awesome. Guys, that was Masami. Masami, thank you so much for coming on, and I will see you all very soon. Take care.
Yes, thank you.